Kentucky, keep on shining.
The one that's gone, it may be blue. Yes, my name's Eddie Winters. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Coup d'etat on the line all the way from Austin, Texas. We've got Rodney Henry. Rodney, welcome to the program, baby. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Eddie. How about yourself, brother?
Baby, I am doing sensational. We got that applause for you. There it is. Welcome back. Happy New Year, by the way.
I'm right back at you, my man.
Oh, you've got it. We got a crazy year. By the way, I want to introduce you to, we've got a guest co-host, Jeremy Wheat. He's a laser disc aficionado, and he's sitting in the hot seat. And Jeremy is joining us.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Rodney.
Yes.
Likewise, Jeremy.
Rodney, baby, how is it going? You're in Austin. How did you get there? How long have you been there? Let's talk about it.
Well, I've been down here for since August, but I've only been I've been hustling. I've been actually down here permanently for the last few months. I mean, I got a house down here in August, but I've finally been here hustling pies, man, playing music and having a ball. Really, we're working on a couple trailers right now. We're set up at a couple pretty damn cool rock joints down here in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I can imagine. So, are you living in these trailers, or are you making these trailers for something else?
Yes, we're making these. I mean, I might have to sleep in them once in a while, but man, most of we're just building them out for slinging pies out of them, baking out of them.
Holy smokes! Holy smokes,
man.
So you pick up the trailers and then you've got pie anywhere, instant pie.
That's right, man. Have the trailer and then just park that sucker, man. It's good to go.
I love it. I saw this picture. I've got to ask. We are playing some ZZ Top, the Billy Gibbons picture. I've got to ask, What is the story behind Billy Gibbons getting a Dangerously Delicious Pies box in his hand, baby?
That's the whole. He had a pie in that sucker, man. It was we were at New Year's Eve at this place called Sea Boys, the club that the Continental owns. Continental Club in Austin owns this place up the street or down the street on Congress. And it was this guy Mike Flanagan. He's this trio. He's this organ player, and he plays with Jimmie Vaughn. And anyways, Billy came for the last few songs of the set. We're outside slinging pies, and of course, Billy Gibbons he's a bad man, and he just got himself a steak pie, and he's like, "Hey man, let's take a picture of this underneath this street light." And we were like, "Hell yeah, brother!" And he got it all set up, and it was cool. He's a cool cat, and it's like he's into pie, and all those boys are, man. Jimmie Vaughn, it's pretty wild. It's like being down here. Being at the places that I'm locked on, at a place called Lost Well, which is on the east side, which is a total punk rock heavy metal club. And Sea Boys is more like a rhythm and blues joint. And it's like Jimmie Vaughn. These guys are big. They're all into the pie, and to be able to be down there and hang out with these cats is amazing because they're like heroes of mine. And to actually get to meet them and meet Billy Gibbons and stuff, it's insane.
Blowing my mind. I mean, that's such a Texas music. I mean, the Vaughn brothers. I mean, just you can't even touch it. I mean, those guys. I look at these old interviews with Jimmie Vaughn, and he is like oozing the. I mean, he's just rock and roll. He's that guy. He's like the epitome of cool. Like seriously, to this day, that guy has not lost one bit of his coolness, and he looks slick. I mean, I'm not even sure how old he is. This guy be like 65, something like that. Wow.
This guy's badass. He's just getting better and better at playing, over the years. I mean, he's definitely got his own style. And to be around that, man, just kind of inspires you to rock harder, you know what I mean?
Right. And they eat pie, so you
yeah, exactly. And what's funny is they talk smack about the pie, too, so that's pretty awesome.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
And you encourage that? You're open to
smack talking on the pie.
Oh man, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, that's half my life, smack talking, and then when they talk, when I say smack, they're not talking bad. It's like good stuff, you know what I mean? They're like,
oh yeah,
they're talking, they're just
some good smack, not bad smack.
Well, you can back it up.
Yeah, not bad smack. They're not talking bad on the pie. They love it.
That's good. That is okay.
Yeah.
That is.
They're
good.
saying it's as good as smack, which we all know is highly addictive.
Free, man. I'm the pie pusher, brother.
I like it. And you've got a van, and that's perfect. So, Rodney, I got to ask you. This is your fourth. Is that right? Fourth location in Austin.
Ooh.
And
there's I got 2 places rolling in Austin. I mean, well, I'm baking out of one spot, but I'm supplying 2 joints.
Wow.
And then, then we're opening our second one in Baltimore. We got another one opening in Detroit. We still got 2 down in D.C. It's rocking, man.
It is multiplying. It is not even.
Man.
Let me ask you a question. This is how do you manage? How do you manage having that? Is like you've got to be running around all over the place.
Right now, I was running around quite a bit, but I've sort of committed to being down here. And all the other shops, basically everybody's got their own spot. I help open them up, and then they take the folks who have the shops. They own their own shop. I get a piece of the action, but
right.
It's just like that's what makes it work, because people have vested interest in their own shop, and it's kind of like a movement, man. I've been trying to take rock and rollers and
I love this.
Show them they can still rock. The deal. It's like if you can figure out a way to sustain your artistic, your creative side, and be able to feel like you're like you get a real outlet, and you can still make money, not worry about killing yourself, being on the road, having something to back you up is pretty awesome.
Right. It's amazing to be able to dedicate, something that came so naturally to you. I remember when you were last on the show, we dug a little deep and talking about how it just kind of came hand in hand, and it's brilliant to be able to effortlessly, there is effort going into it, but effortlessly, to be able to have fun doing something that you really love. And
completely, man. That's like the coolest thing ever. Being able to do some dig, Eddie. It's like this, man. When you dig something that everybody says it, when you really like something that's not like you're working. You bust your ass, but it's like at the same time you don't have somebody. It seems like everybody who's part of the pie shop is like pretty stoked about their place in life, what they're doing, and their hard charges, which is exactly what I wanted.
Right. Let me ask you, let's go back, because when we had you on, you had wrapped up being on the TV show, the Food Network show, and that was, right. How long ago was that? That was almost a year ago, maybe?
A little over a year, probably a year and a half.
A year and a half. So
just a little over a year ended.
And I remember. You came, as you mentioned when you were on the program last night. You came in second, which was probably the best possible scenario. What do you think? Moving away from that a year, what do you think you've kind of gathered? Looking back on that experience.
It's freaking TVs. It's what? No matter what entertainment field you're into, whether it's like radio, television, frickin' whatever. It's not the end-all, be-all of life, basically.
Of course.
I kind of sort of, after listening to people talk out the side of the neck for so goddamn long, it's just like, I'm like a big pies, basically. The more times I get, out, like when I was in California for a while, and I was in New York for a little bit, and everybody's telling you, hey, Cat, you're going to be, Mr. Big Shot. That's not what it's all about. It's like no one really gets... I don't understand why, but no one really gets what I'm doing.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense to me. What we're doing is we're starting we got a full-on rock and roll pie movement, man. It's happening.
I love it.
As far as the Food Network, nothing ever came of any of that stuff. I was filming pilots and shit for different cable stations. It just gets to be a pain in the butt, man. Nobody has a cool idea.
Right.
You've seen television these days. It's horrible.
Oh, it is. Wow, it is a pyramid scheme. When I lay my eyes on it, my eyes are like, where do I put the cash?
Eddie and I were rapping about this earlier. Everyone knows that the only guy to become a success off of the back of one of those Food Network competition shows is a blight. A cultural blight.
Guy Fieri.
He's not on the show.
Right.
We got Rodney Henry here, and to me, it's a mirror image of the only success off of the back of American Idol is that one chick from the first season,
Kelly Clarkson. Right.
It's a pop cultural phenomenon, but it hasn't made a dent in culture.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, man. There's a lack of solid heart and soul coming into anything. It's like. In our culture, it sucks, man. Everything's formulated bullshit. And then the fact that people check that stuff out, I mean, there's always interesting things on, like, if you see cats here, I'm not a fan, but it's like, once in a while when I see him not doing his show and he's like a guest and he's cooking with somebody, you actually see somebody who actually does something cool. When you see his show, you just think tool bag the whole
Yep.
Right.
Flame jobs on his shirt.
On the refrigerator. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Come on, man. There's so much stuff we could talk about. I mean, like, when I met the dude, it was like, he was all right. But it's like, these people don't even really, they're just there. I don't even think they know where they are half the time. They fly them in, they do their thing, and they're gone.
Right.
They don't give a shit.
I mean, it's much like television. Obviously, it's like working a corporate job, and you're flown in and you do this thing, and there is. I guess it is hard to wrestle once you get into that industry of television. That then you've got to please a whole bunch of other guys that aren't feeling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The coolest thing about when I was doing it, when I really felt support from like the rock and roll community, man, people that are probably not people that normally watch that station, and I was getting a lot of folks checking it out, man. I was, I honestly think that maybe there will be a chance they would do something where have something interesting and not just have another fucking studio thing with some girl who's like baking to fucking get a man. I mean, give me a break. Any girl who
aren't we all though, Rodney?
Yeah, true.
How about a man who bakes pie? He already has pie at home.
I want to turn people on to stuff that people like. You know what I mean? I want to, like, everybody that I've come in contact with through music and stuff is into food. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're into food big things. You know the deal. When you're on the road, you get shit.
Right, of course.
When I talk to cats across the country who are, rock and rollers, big shots or not, they all appreciate good food, and they also like to talk about their travels and what they do, man. That's like something I think that people like to see. It's sit down and talk to some real dudes, not like, not the same old granny fucking, oh my God, man, it just drives me crazy seeing all the crap that I have to, put up with. It's like I haven't seen Food Network in, a year.
Right.
I don't even know. Every time I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
So it's safe to say that experience, you had that experience, and then you just moved on so far that to leave that in the dust.
They got, when I got out of my contract with them, which was, I guess, a pretty big deal. I mean, I was dealing with some sketchy ass, managers and agents and shit.
Right.
They didn't really argue when I was trying to get out of my contract. They was like, okay, let them go. They didn't have any place for me, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
They didn't even give you, it's like, you don't get it's like, if you try to pitch your own ideas, and every time you try to pitch something, it's like you got to sell yourself. You feel like you're selling something that no one's going to get because you're talking to people that are not in the same mindset as you are at all.
Right.
Not one bit. It's a bunch of overprivileged, white folks, basically.
Looking for the cash. Looking for that sweet cash.
Yeah, man.
That's
just cool.
I mean, it is that it's that's what I mean. It's like you really did, in a sense, avoided getting out of those kinds of contracts. And I was going to ask you. I mean, you had to keep secret about the whole doing the program, knowing the results. How does that feel to not have to keep a secret for so long? I mean,
you know what? It's funny now. It's like it's funny. I can keep a secret about anything now.
You're right. You're trained.
Because I couldn't before. You get all busted up with your friends. You could tell them everything. You talk about all sorts of weird shit. But it's like, that whole year, having to be quiet for like 6-7 months, pretty interesting. I'm not like one that keeps myself very close to my, to my chest.
Right.
It's like I just kind of go with it.
They got these NDAs.
But now I realize that kind of keeping stuff under wraps is not a bad idea.
Right, and not let anybody know.
Trouble.
Yeah, especially if you sign to a contract.
Exactly. It's like this when they're threatening. They're like, "Hey man, if you let divulge any information, we're going to get you for, $1 million." I'm like, where the hell are you going to get that from?
Right. Oh, jeez. They're going to go after. Yeah.
You're like checking in your flower vase to see if there's any listening devices.
Right.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Trust me, man. I thought about all sorts of crazy scenarios.
Like the secret goddamn police.
And who knows? I don't remember seeing anything where they said they could put any secret devices to record me anywhere. But if they did, out of trouble.
Did they borrow your cell phone at any point during the tape?
They took that sucker right away when I showed up in California.
Wow,
it's like jury duty.
Right.
Shit, man, I was like completely. We had our own rooms. Like everybody was kind of secluded from everybody most of the time.
Sequestered. It's what they do to a grand jury.
And then they produce the world around you, and so and getting secondhand information and goofy stuff like that. Oof, what a production!
You don't even know what the hell's going on, man. Because most of the time, you don't even know, except maybe when you're waiting to get picked up by by your driver or whatever to go to the studio. It's like you don't even really know what's going on. You don't have TV. You don't have anything.
Right.
It's just
Meanwhile, everybody else has got tablets and computers and internet all over the place.
Gizmos.
Everybody's telling you what's going down. TV is so funny. I mean, reality TV is the only reality is actually when you're actually in there, especially food. When you're actually in there cooking, and that time that you're actually cooking, it's real. Everything else is sort of, you're getting put into situations that you're not going to be put in ever.
Right. Oh, of course. And they're just wait. I mean, I don't know. I could see a scenario we're stranded on an island, and you're the only guy that knows how to prepare food. I could see us eating coconut pie. I could see
that'd be good with bananas.
Man, we can make a pie out of any goddamn
coconut.
Pie. A sand pie.
But I was just thinking the same thing. Like, oh shit, all we got is coconuts, man. We had to figure out a way to we could make every part of that pie would be coconut.
But that, it'd be like a Gilligan's Island episode, but I would watch it.
Now, Rodney, you brought up something.
That would be cool. I think that would be awesome.
I love
it. Come up with, man.
Rodney, you brought up something interesting to me.
Girls in there too. That'd be sweet.
Sorry to interrupt, Rodney, but
no, it's okay, Jim.
When you said that the only thing that was reality was when you were cooking, and then everything else was manufactured.
Well, I wouldn't say manufactured, but the scenarios were like they put you in a situation. It wasn't like a situation that you would normally be in. Like it's like trying to put yourself, like, say, okay, it's 4th of July. Well, it ain't 4th of July, man. It's like February.
Right.
So it's like professional wrestling. They're kind of
exactly. There is a wrestling aspect to the whole process.
Oh, of course. I mean, and also I imagine what scenario when you're working in the kitchen do you have you walk out on a ramp and there's lights?
Exactly. You don't have to sit there and you can have people over to eat, man. You're not I guess you tell people what you're having, but you're not making the presentation that's your life depends on it.
Right.
And you don't think Michelle Obama is going to be coming over.
A lot of the folks that I was with, that's all they ever wanted to do, man. This is all they wanted to do is be a TV on TV.
Right. And they're not a lifer.
So when you lose, the tears and shit that I saw, I was just like, come on, man.
Oh, where they missed someone right before they go in for the close-up?
It was real tears, because people probably just wrapped up in the...
Man, it's real tears.
I heard they were just pinching toes.
I never... To be honest with you, man, I was like, it cracked me up. You saw some of the stuff they interviewed me about, on those, when they get you in the room and they want you to talk smack on somebody or anything like that, I would crack up. I'm like, what the hell are they crying for, man? They came here, they had fun. You lose, you get kicked off. It's you're not dead.
Right.
No one died.
Finished.
There's no tears in baking.
I mean, I talked smack because I didn't get kicked off, so I was like, I would have probably been crying in my room because I've been stuck in another room for another 3 or 4 weeks without being able to do shit and not able to go home. That would suck. But besides that, man, I was like, I had a kick-ass time, and I think that some people kind of they kind of realize after a while, hey, man, we need to just chill out and stop being so, pent up, so worked up about being a big shot and just fucking relax.
Right, and just go for it. I feel like, that what I was thinking is from that time, I mean, you've gone to Austin, you've established, I mean, I guess what it sounds like is like a place that that runs deep in your blood. You kind of have a connection with it. And
I have for years, yeah, for sure.
And to be able to sit down there, I wanted to ask you also what timeline was the Detroit locations happening during? Was that during the show or before the show?
I was living up there before the show started. I was up there. We opened up about a year before the show came. Before I left to go to California for the show, so about 2.5, 3 years ago, we opened the first place in Detroit.
Wow. And now you're doubling your locations.
Yeah, man, it's really cool, especially in Detroit. Where everybody's like, "What the hell are you doing in Detroit?" I was like, "Detroit's sweet."
Right.
Rock and roll city seems like it works.
There's a big rock and roll scene in Detroit, of course.
Hitsville.
Detroit rules. Detroit, it's the people, man. It's like everywhere you go where it seems like a good scene, it's because there's good people there.
Of course.
The cities have, super busted up and depressed, but honestly, the people that are hanging tough, man, they're super cool. And they want, cool stuff to happen, but they don't want to lose that whole Detroit aspect of being like a tough, blue collar city.
Right.
But it's changing. It's getting to be a little bit different it's getting to be a lot different than it was. But I think, when we first went up there was nothing going down, and now it's like, it's really starting to happen.
Right.
Pretty neat.
I was going to say earlier on, during podcast one, during the first half of the program, we did we opened the phone lines, and a good old friend from Baltimore, Pietro, called in, and he gives his regards. Shared a nice story about him wearing a hairnet, and he also shared going back to talking about the machine. Talking about Pietro is trying right now. He's got a band in Atlanta, and he's been trying to go. He's trying to do an MTV voting competition, and
he is.
He really is. And I was going to say, if he's learned anything from Rodney about voting and having to put yourself out there, we kind of made that connection earlier on in the program.
You got it, man. You got to whore yourself out if you want anybody to vote for you.
I know, and I had to make the analogy about the very first Real World, because there was a guy who was on that TV show who had a grunge band, and he was on there for weeks, and no one can remember his name. And I said, Pietro, that's going to be you. So
that's messed up, man. That would be awesome, though. I love to see PD's on MTV. That would be hilarious.
I mean, if there's any other place I could see him, it would definitely be. I could see that MTV career blossoming into a fine TMZ career. Yes, but nonetheless, I gotta ask. So, what is your? You've been doing a lot of rock and roll while slinging the pie. What's your plans moving on? Do you have any? I mean, are you a guy that thinks about New Year? I gotta knock this out and knock that out. What's your plans for coming up?
Well, my plan right now is once I get these trailers up and I have everything running kind of smooth. My plans to come out west, man. That's actually where I'm heading next, is Northern California. So probably in the next, I was hoping I'd be out there by next fall, but I'm thinking around this time next year.
Is that right?
Trying to work it out.
You got to book this guy, Eddie.
No, Northern California. I could fall asleep in a pie place very easily.
Oh, you're damn right.
I could be escorted out of a pie place. Yeah, pie shop.
No sleeping on the pie bar, Eddie.
Do a lot of your establishments? I know you've got a lot. You put on some shows at some of the spots. Is that a prerequisite when you're looking at making a pie shop? Do you can we put a band here?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, it's like every place has to be able to have music. I mean, even though we have the trailers rolling, every place that I'm at is like. There's spots that I'm able to have rock and roll in,
Right.
That's really important. That's the whole concept. I'm not even sure if it was a concept. It's just like it has to be that way. I mean, we try to turn people on to good music and good pie. So everything that's synonymous with Dangerously Delicious is synonymous with something awesome.
Right.
Hopefully, we get a lot of not every band's a freaking knock it out of the park. Band, they get their start there. I mean, it's a pie shop, for Christ's sake. I mean, we don't need killers to have like Van Halen playing in there, but
right,
that's like
some Cabo Wabo.
Give it a shot. Exactly, man. Get Sammy's band in there.
Of course, they would love pie.
Hey, did you have Sammy on your show?
We had Joel Selvin, who worked with. He wrote Sammy Hagar's autobiography with him.
I think Eddie's getting to the point where he's very close to having Sammy Hagar in his Rolodex, and as we all know, it's a couple of minutes after that you get Sammy right here.
Yeah, I mean, and he's in the Bay Area. A few people have recommended and have mentioned Sammy Hagar getting on the coup. So
supposed to be a very nice man.
I understand the same thing. My boys in Detroit have met him a few times. They actually played with him a couple of times up there, and we're like, that guy is sweet as hell. And when I heard that you had something going with, like, Sammy, and plus I read that book. Was it the Red Rocker book?
Oh, yes.
That was good. I didn't realize he invented sprinklers.
Well, yes, the Red Rocker. I mean, he's been around. Yeah, and he was visited by aliens. No,
and he used to box.
Right. I mean, the Red Rocker is just an amazing story.
And it sounds like you need to. He'd be somebody really cool to have on there.
I know. I might be related.
I'm no kidding.
I might have some Red Rocker in my blood. But
I'm sure you do, brother.
I've got something. I don't.
all the good ones do.
I tell you, but yeah, just talking about those guys and I mean, getting bands into the shop. I believe that. I mean, that kind of paints the atmosphere too. I can imagine, when you set up, I mean, in the different areas of different cities across the country. And the vibe of setting up a rock and roll environment. Do you allow people to come in with laptops?
Well, you know what? I mean, of course I allow them, but it's not like anybody sits there all day long. And it's not like Starbucks or some of the places where people come in there all day. Normally, people just come in with their, get pie and hang out for a little while.
But what about performers? Do any performers come in with you, like, no laptops on the stage?
Oh, I see.
No, man. It's all straight up rock and roll, man. It's like we don't have. I mean, I've never seen anybody come into any of the shops. The only person who came with a laptop might have been a sound man or something, but that's about it.
Okay.
The way that you discourage that is you offer no free Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, there it is.
We don't advertise. There's no free Wi-Fi when actually there is. You can just get it when you come into the shops, but
I like it.
It's not like we're like on our windows like pie and free Wi-Fi. I'd rather you not come in and using the computer all day long and have a cup of coffee for 6 hours.
It's more about pie fidelity.
Energy.
Yes, you don't want to drain your internet.
Like we have to have some sort of laptops in there to get your show, man. You have a steady following.
Oh yes,
amen.
I tell you what, and I still feel guilty about 2 years ago about leading to that bad Yelp review.
Oh man. Wait a second, this is news to me.
Well, was it about pie or was it about?
I think it was about Pietro. Really, it was just. It was about Pietro.
Yeah, because he didn't have his hair. He didn't have his hairnet in, man. I was like, when he doesn't have his hairnet on, that used to drive me crazy. That boy's got a big ass afro.
Oh yes. And you're gonna get hair pie. You don't want that.
What he said was that you strong-armed him into it. It's like, hey, we're going to get a health inspector in here. They'll kick our asses all up and down the street if you don't get in a hairnet. So he put one on under great protest.
That's what he said. He was like, I think he just wanted me to put it on.
And then you did nothing but make mock of him, as one would do.
He was sitting there working in his little cut-off hot pants shorts.
Daisy Dukes.
His t-shirt's a little too tight, and he's got his hair all over the place. And he's looking cool, man, because PD looks cool anyway. So,
right.
I mean, it's a phenomenon. I don't know how he looks so badass. PD don't give a shit, so he rocks it. But it's like I had to do something to take it down a notch. I'm like, get a hairnet on. You can't be looking this cool. I got to be here too,
I know. It's a classic. There's a great online clip of I think when you guys were on some local news in Baltimore, and our old co-host Alex Huffman snapped a nice picture of Pietro rolling out the dough, and he had a classic look.
Oh, man, Pete. You know what? I got to tell you, man. I miss that cat big time. Like he was a really solid, he was a really killer employee, man.
Yeah,
he was awesome. He was part of the posse. When he split, I was just like, man, but he's loving Atlanta, so that's cool. But he was great. Never, no matter what degree of debauchery that Petey was in the night before, he always posted up and worked his ass off and was always on time. Always, which is fantastic.
He knows no hangover. I mean, he's hangover proof. But he's in Atlanta. I was going to ask you. You're I'm sorry. I saw this microphone. He's in Atlanta, and and it made me think. That's another hot spot for rock and roll. It would be a wonderful place I can imagine a pie shop to be.
I think it would go good in Atlanta.
How are you? How do you strategize? Like you're looking like the next spot, like you're saying Northern California. How does that compute in your brain? How do you think that?
Interest, like who I'm in contact with, people who seem like motivated by getting involved in it at some point.
Right.
Just plus it's good food, man. I think my pie stands up with some of the best restaurant food out there, man. So it's like when people get hip to that, it's like being out in Northern California, man. Stuff out there is kick ass. The resources are awesome. The people are cool, and I like the fact that you learn a lot. Depending on what part of the country you're in, you learn a lot about cuisine, regional cuisine and stuff. And I think that California is totally set up there, and I've been coming out there for a long time, trying to set it up. It's like I can't be everywhere at once. Austin was a plan for years. So when I finally get on that Food Network stuff, I was planning. I mean, I was supposed to be here before that show went on.
Oh, is that right?
So, and that sort of slowed me up from getting down here. So it's like I have to be at every place when we started up, because I have to get down there and help the cats get their pie on and show them how to do the stuff. Mostly baking stuff, because most of the cats I get involved with are pretty good with got a good head for business and stuff, which is good, because I'm straight up idea man and baker, not the greatest at
you're the lightning rod.
Tight.
Gosh, that
the only thing I get good at keeping tight is I'm good at baking. I always have somebody with me nowadays who's really smart at keeping track of everything.
Right. God, I need one of those.
The more stuff you get, the more confusing it gets. It's crazy.
Oh, of course. That's what I was. When you're doubling the locations and keeping tabs on the stores and stuff. I was going to say, it's like, gosh, I can't even boil water and use brush my teeth at the same. I'll trip on things.
It's nice to have people around you. They just say, hey man, brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Water, man. I love that. I gotta be honest with you. That's one thing I miss. Miss having you tell me what I had to do every day.
Right.
Run me around. You know what I mean? I love that. Hey, what I gotta do? Oh, I don't need all these freaking schedules or things on your iPhone. I don't use it. I try to, but then I forget how to pull it up. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. Then you forget.
It's like, why don't you brush your teeth, Siri?
Assistant is pretty sweet. Right now, so you can start. It took me 50 years, but I'm getting to the point now where I try to keep it halfway together.
Right. I'm trying. It's taken 700, but we're working on it. We're working on it. All right, we had a couple emails and calls earlier. People were asking about years ago. You'd come on the program, and we discussed a I don't know how I say it, a special secret pie that had to do with Eddie Winners, and it's 7 layers. And and some
layers of crust, man.
7 layers of crust. People are dying to know. Phone lines lighting up all morning. They were like, when is Rodney ready to unveil the 7 layers of crust?
You know what? I got 5 layers locked on. I need the other 2. Those are the
crucial ones. Anybody who's been on the internet knows.
You got to make sure each one has to have a distinct quality to it, Eddie. I might make 1 layer out of laser disc.
Oh, we were talking about that this morning. Were you listening to the show? We were like 1 layer. It's toasted from the light off of a reflected laser disc.
Each laser disc is no fewer than 3 layers.
Oh, I love it. You can flip the whole pie over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
When you're done, you flip it. So we
That's great.
We're looking forward to it. I'm ready to bite in whenever you need me. If you need my brain for any consultant work, I'm good for it.
Rodney can't wait for technology to catch up.
Ship you one out. I'm going to ship you a 7-layer crust pie out there.
Oh my God!
And then you can tell me what you think.
I will get in my Miata and drive to a location specifically to eat it.
No problem. I'll have it dropped to the corner like 18th of Valencia.
I'll do it. Wait, you know what? That's quite near Bart. I might not get the pie.
Walking distance.
Someone might steal that pie. Oh my gosh! So, by the way, I don't know if you know Barry the Stallion Stribe. He's a famous sports analyst who's been covering the Ravens. The Ravens still your team.
Oh yeah, man.
I knew that. But had you watched or kept up with any of this while you're flying high in pie? Have you been keeping up with the Ravens on the way potentially to the Super Bowl?
Of course. Well, you know what? It's funny being down here. I've only seen 3 whole games. But yeah, man. Yesterday was awesome. Of course, I'm stoked for the Ravens, man. It's super cool. It's like finally seeing them right now. It's like they played better yesterday than they played all year. So it's pretty awesome. I'm hoping they're catching their stride. You know the deal, man. It's like Baltimore is going to go crazy if they, every step of the way. If they go back to the Super Bowl, that town's going to be insane.
Right. And I was going to say, I think that the Stallion has been guiding us the whole way through to the championship. And if they go to the Super Bowl, you got to go back to Baltimore and celebrate.
Oh, I'll be in town if they're in the Super Bowl. I'll be back in Baltimore for that week.
Nice. That's what we anticipated. I've got to ask. Speaking of I noticed you've got a son, Waylon, and I wanted to I got to bring him up because I saw a clip online of him performing. I believe at one of the pie shops. And how old is Waylon?
He'll be 12 in a couple days.
12.
Wow.
12.
Wow.
So I saw this. He's rocking, doing all classics. How did this? Like father, like son. How did he was like, yes, I'm going in the rock and roll footsteps.
Blame it on the boogie.
Well, you know what's crazy is his mom, Heidi, she's pretty talented. She's a really talented musician, and Waylon just took to it naturally. It's really, really wild. Like, I taught him a few things, but the kid, he practices it. It's just natural. It wasn't like that for me, man. I really had to bust my ass to play guitar, and he busts his ass, but it seems like he makes a little bit more progress than I ever did.
Sounds like a natural.
I wasn't playing like that when I was 12 years old.
I mean, he's
writing, man, and he's written 2 songs, seriously, no bullshit, unbelievable tunes. Full original that he did himself. He wrote them when we were on this road trip somewhere across the country. And man, I play him when I do my solo sets. Man, I do a couple of his tunes. And
is that right?
Awesome. And I didn't have one thing to do with this stuff. He pulled them out at shows. It surprised me. It's amazing. I love it.
Hey, I was gonna say. I mean, gosh, that young, and to have it together, to be playing the guitar and completing songs, staying in key.
When I was 12, I couldn't play video games. I was garbage.
Yeah, I mean, but I just absolutely, I was marveling at it, and also just to be so young, it's quite. It must be a real sensation to have. Dare I say, prodigy of a rock and roll prodigy, nonetheless.
It's man. It's like, brother. It's crazy. Because I can see how. They have stage parents and they're freaking out of their goddamn minds.
Right.
Well,
right.
I'll tell you what, man. I try not to be like that with Waylon, but it's he's so good. In some gigs, he'll slay it and he'll be awesome. And then sometimes, when he's not, I forget that he's a kid. So sometimes, he's not on top of it like he will be every time. But when we play shows, man, everybody has good nights and bad nights. So
of course,
you gotta remember that shit. But. I got to tell you, I have a smile ear to ear with every time just to get to hang out with him and to watch him actually have an interest in it and not to be forced. He does it because he wants to. I would never, force it on him because I would make him, rebel against it, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, he's way into it, man. I love it.
It's so interesting. I mean, it's just such a joy to watch. I mean, watching just seeing run through some of the songs, and also just the era of stuff that he's kind of gravitated towards is kind of interesting on its own, because when you think about, popular music and what's available to kids his age.
Not a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I know. It's true. But you know what's funny? He knows all those songs. Like when he's hanging out with his friends or whatever, like those songs are up there. He knows those songs, but he doesn't. It's not like he doesn't listen to that stuff.
Right.
I guess it's because he's never really been around. It's never been around him at the house. The only time he sees it, like when or listens to it when he's hanging out with his friends or something. But he's way into he's way into the blues, man, and the country music. It's in like mostly classic stuff. And
right.
He gets some bread, he'll go out and buy he'll buy Hank Williams songbook or something like that.
Right.
He's really looking into it, exploring like that music, which I love, because it's like no kids are doing that, and they're missing out. Like all that shit, people don't know who Paul McCartney is. What the heck's that?
Oh yeah, Kanye West.
Yeah,
his fans had no idea who Paul
McCartney is.
Probably the if not the greatest critically, the best-selling songwriter of all time.
Right. It's that to me baffles my mind.
It's a garbage generation.
Yeah, and then I thought about it, like it makes sense, but it's like, man, it's because our parents. I don't know about your parents. They're probably listening to like Mongolians.
Just drum rhythms from other tribes.
Right.
A lot of foxtrots.
But when we were growing up, when I was growing up, it's like I remember doing chores, man. That's what we listened to. My mom listened to, the Beatles. She listened to like Billy Nelson and stuff like that. When we were working on Saturday, that's all we heard. And I sort of remember thinking, like right here, like George Jones and Tim Wayne, that song, I'd be like, holy smoke, this shit sucks. And then I was like, as I got a little bit older, I was like, man, this stuff's ripping,
Right.
It's the best
So
stuff.
listening to the songs, and it's really strange how, when they say, well, that's for old folks. Well, that's funny, because even though you see a lot of cats are like in this like rockabilly or that country scene, not all of them are really that into it. They're more into the style and not the
music.
Substance of the music,
right?
More into like making sure their pants are cuffed up a certain way.
Right.
It's like it has nothing to do with music. They just want to look cool and hang out the cool kids or something. But honest to God, down here, man, it's really cool because every night you can go out and see cats really laying it down, like super awesome.
One of the best music towns
and giving respect to the past.
Right, and it just, it's just one of those magic cities where that kind of stuff is still alive and well, and has only gotten bigger and bigger as I guess rock and roll has been pushed out of certain places.
Totally, man. Think about it. There's some cats are making. They're making new music that's awesome, but it's definitely kind of a throwback to the 70s,
right,
60s and 70s, and it sounds great, and it sounds similar to that stuff, and kids are killing it.
Right.
And that's the most popular music out there right now, but there is a movement. It seems like to me that people are they're building momentum again, which they could blow Katy Perry, all these cats right out, just blow them right up, because it should drives me freaking nuts.
Right. It's such an interesting. It's hard to think about like of generations, a couple generations removed, when you're old. The music that you grew up to is all auto-tuned and the same kind of rhythms and beats. We do a segment called the Dream Charts, where we do the top 40 of what little kids are listening to and want to be their number one songs. And it is the worst. It is the worst. Get a terrorist out of a cave sounding music.
They use it to torture people.
It is rough. We've lost co-hosts because of that segment.
They run to ground.
Right, they fly the coop, but nothing. It's so interesting to match.
Bodie's in rehab.
Yeah, he's gone to rehab, ear rehab. But it's interesting to think about how, like, in 50 years, that will be the Beatles of the Kanyes now is the it's an interesting thing, the way that the circle of life works. And as I'm being,
I hope it's circling back up.
Right. I mean, in my 700 years, I've seen a lot of trends.
I'm sure.
And I've seen a lot of cycles. But by the way, have you heard the Kanye Paul McCartney track?
No, I haven't.
I
heard a piece of it.
It is hands down one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. Ever.
Really?
Only because Kanye's vocal track is so auto-tuned intentionally poorly that it sounds like when you ever had an old cassette tape and the tape was stretched out.
Or you left it in the van overnight
really?
in the winter.
It's I mean, there's like a nice Rhodes piano in the background played by Paul McCartney, and then it's just Kanye's voice just warbling all over the place.
Getting seasick just thinking about it.
You know what? I gotta tell you something though, man. It's like I hesitate to talk too much smack on Kanye because him and his girl, man, when they come to town, they buy loads of pie, man. Every time they're in town.
Kim did not get that booty
It
from
doesn't mean
pushing
that
away a
music
lot of
doesn't
pie.
suck there, but I'll tell you what, Kim Kardashian can throw down some pie, brother.
Well, next time he's in town, ask him about the vocal take. I just gotta know.
I'll ask him. I mean, I probably won't, unless he comes down to Texas. I mean, they search us out at every like when they're in a town that we're in, they get the pie. It's hilarious.
That is, by the way, that is crazy. I was checking. I mean, you've got a lot of great people like Billy Gibbons. Obviously, you mentioned Jimmie Vaughn. People who've had the pie. Has there been people that's really just like other people that have knocked your socks off? You're like, holy crap, they're eating my pie.
Oh, well, Brian Setzer, man, like, when he gets pie, it's pretty awesome. He's been getting pie for a long time.
Holy smokes.
I mean, it's like, a lot of these cats, like, I'll tell you what, Billy Gibbons blew my mind. It's like, we did some stuff, when I was out west, I met, Lucinda Williams. She's crazy about pie. She's just nuts for that stuff. All cool folks, man. It's really, it's been pretty awesome. But no one I've never, to me, my freaking would blow my mind, and I know everybody has their own theory about this cat, but if David Lee Roth got a pie, brother, I would just lose my damn mind.
Oh my gosh. Diamond Dave.
You'd have to make him a special Diamond Dave pie.
Would be so killer. And I'm sure that it's a possibility that could happen. Maybe you could get him pulling up in the air, he could do one of them flying scissor kicks and knock it out of the air. That's pretty sweet.
Jump off the drum riser, baby.
Just do it over the pie.
I would.
Oh yeah, totally, man.
I would get him a large pie and he can surf into the shot on the pie.
Yeah, right.
I should have done it. I didn't even think about it, but there it is.
The cradle will rock.
That is I tell you what, Rodney, I know you're a busy guy slinging the pie down in Austin, Texas. I want to. I gotta thank you for taking the time out to being on the program, and I want to stay in touch. We gotta get you back on. I was gonna say maybe the key to David Lee Roth's heart is getting that 7-layer pie in his.
I'm serious. I'm not gonna mess around, man. I'm gonna get that out to you.
Run in with the devil's food pie.
I would love it. But we'll see if we can get David Lee Roth to get some pie. That'll be our mission for 2015. I would do it.
That would be great. That would just be hilarious.
Man, we should organize. We'll organize a campaign, and we'll see if we can do it, baby.
Exciting times.
So, Rodney, thank you so much again for being on the program, and stay in touch, and all the best this year. And let me know when you're in Northern California, baby. We'll get you back in the studio.
I look forward to it, Eddie. Thanks a lot, brother. Jeremy, take it easy, my man.
Great to meet you.
Yes, Rodney. Thank you so much, baby. We'll talk to you soon, baby.
Later, brother.
Later, baby. Rodney Henry, all the way from Austin, Texas.